right now, I'm going to talk to those who are starting out, or maybe you're not as comfortable in the gym. Maybe this is like new territory for you and you're intimidated. Maybe you don't have confidence or you don't know what you're doing or you're just terrified of looking stupid, which, by the way, I relate to every bit of this. So, actually, to get into that, I'm going to do what I frequently do, which is make points by completely turning the conversation back towards myself. I started out in that exact same spot. I'm going to get a little emotional here, guys. I'm going to get a little intimate. Okay. I'm going to open up my heart and show it to you guys. So pay attention. When I started, I was 13 years old. I had never done anything physical. My life was so void of physicality that I actually had to get the idiot's guide to football when I started playing high school football. That's how out of practice I was. That's how completely removed I was from anything that had to do with sports, with physical play, with physical activity. I had no idea what was going on. So I was 13 and I was young for the grade I was in. Going into my sophomore year in high school, I went out on a limb and I'm like, I'm going to play football. And I saw from the outside looking in all of these things that the kids that were on the football team had that I wanted to emulate in my own life. I saw the social aspect, the ability of all of these kids to interact with each other in a way that seemed completely comfortable and natural. I saw, obviously, the physical changes that took place in those who dedicated themselves to practice and going through the weight training program. And I decided that as young as I was, if I didn't do it then, I was never going to do it. And it was one of these irrational things that popped into my head. I had no reason to go that way, but I did. And it stuck in my head like it was just like a fever I had. It was out of nowhere. It came over me and I was obsessed with the idea of self-improvement. And that's what I fixated on. So I made this leap. I joined the football team, no idea what I was doing, got my ass knocked around for all 3 years that I played. And I realized, being an athlete's hard. I've said this before, lifting weights is easy. It's why so many of us gravitate towards it, especially later in life, especially if you're older. It's appealing because it doesn't really matter where you are. Anybody can pick up a barbell. Anybody can start training. It does not require some special sauce. It is universal. It is completely open access to everybody. And that's one of the beautiful things about it. So when I started, I had no idea what I was doing, and I had to work out in the varsity weight room. And that was traumatizing. That was one of the hardest things I ever went through. Traumatizing in a good way. It was definitely one of the better, more formative experiences in my life. But man, no idea what I was doing in the gym, no coordination. I was just a little jello roll, man. I was a little soggy potato. It was like a tater tot that got left in somebody's back pocket. And I had to walk into that weight room and do something, do anything to look busy. I didn't even care about the workout. I was like, I just had to look busy. And eventually I paid attention. I took notes from other people. Eventually I made social connections and started working out with some of the other guys. Eventually, as I mirrored the guys who were stronger, more successful, or took inventory from what the coach said, I developed something that looked like a system, as rough and rudimentary as it was. And that was something I carried on well after high school was over. And it is undoubtedly the sole reason that I'm here today talking to you. It was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, not just because I got stronger or got bigger, which I did, but it's because I proved to myself that I could do something hard, that I could stay with it, get better at it, not to where I just wasn't embarrassing myself, but to where I'm actually competent in it enough to be an authority on it. That was one of the most life-changing and empowering things I've ever done. Now, you don't need physical endeavors to do that. Obviously, it doesn't have to be sport, although physical stuff is pretty damn good because it develops this like intimate bond with you and your own body. You get, I keep calling it driver's ed for your body, which is what a lot of us miss out on. And in developing that connection, you go inward and you really become comfortable with yourself, with your extremities, with your psychology. There's a big psychological component, but you go inward and you end up creating this bond with yourself that makes you more effective, more useful, and it grounds you. It creates stability, and it's this amazing thing. And I'm kind of known for being a little bit prickish when it comes to new people coming into the gym or new people starting to compete, strongman and powerlifting specifically, because it did get so popular and it got flooded. The last 10 years was like a permanent New Year's, with popularity increasing and people trying to go from 0 to 60 and wanting to come in. Anybody that has ever been in a CrossFit gym has heard this, or an MMA gym. Somebody walks in off the street and they're like, I want to be the next UFC champion. I want to go to the games. And in powerlifting and strongman, you definitely experience that with people coming in. I've had multiple people who had never lifted a weight in a day in their life reach out to me because I want to hit this record. I want to set the Zercher record. It's some weird stuff. But there was this thread of people putting the cart before the horse because they didn't go through the hard work of developing themselves first. And they kind of took it for granted. So I've always been really hard on people that came in, and the kind of positivity crowd, the positivity brigade that are constantly going on about, growing the sport and trying to get as many people involved as possible. They don't tolerate that. They don't tolerate anybody dismissing new people. It's like they're evangelical about it. They want to recruit as many people as possible. The more, lowly and down on your luck you are, the more they want you in their crew. In my opinion, the only value that there is in trying to promote and spread gym type stuff, whether it's barbell stuff, recreational lifting, bodybuilding, strength sports, whatever it is. In my opinion, it's very valuable to try to spread and get other people to take part in, but only in as much as it promotes those types of lessons that I just went over, the ones that I experienced that were life-changing, because you can do this stuff in a way that makes every aspect of your life better, that makes you more grounded, that changes your confidence and self-esteem, centers your psychology, makes you of more use to other people, teaches you to delay gratification and to commit to getting good at things, because if you stick with it long enough, you'll get a good result. You'll figure it out. All of that stuff is worth so much, where getting somebody to pick an empty keg up and carry it around a gym is worth very little. That's not something I put a lot of stock into. So when it comes to just trying to blindly get people in at all costs, if you're sacrificing standards, if you're trying to make it a sport for literally everybody, it becomes a sport for nobody.